I hate to tap. You'd actually be surprised how often I hear that from my clients. And it's not because they hate the tool set that is tapping, but instead, physically tapping sometimes is something that is uncomfortable and it is annoying to do. And today, what we're going to do in the podcast is we're going to talk about some alternatives so that you can still get the amazing benefits from this awesome, awesome tool and doing it in a way where it doesn't actually physically be painful for you while you are doing it. This is Monterastelli, and welcome to the Tapping Q&A podcast, recorded live to tape from Williamsburg in Brooklyn. This is episode 638, originally aired November 20th, 2024. Hi, everyone. I hope this finds you well, wherever you are and whatever time of day you're getting a chance to listen to this. Thanks for spending a little time with me today. Now, more than a decade ago, I was in Portland, Oregon, visiting my sister where she lived at the time. And as I was leaving Portland, what I had to do is I was getting on a cross-country flight because I had a speaking engagement in New Jersey. So I was about to get onto a red-eye flight from Portland, Oregon to New Jersey. As I sat down in my seat as I got ready to take off, I realized that little spider bite that I had received earlier in the weekend when we were hiking was starting to impact me. And when I say impact me, what it felt like was from the inside out. I was like burning with lava at my core. And so, in a circumstance like that, where I'm about to fly across country and I don't have opportunity to talk to my doctor until I get on the ground the next morning because it's an overnight flight, I was going to tap for it. Except there was one problem. I couldn't actually tap because I was in so much pain that I could not lift my arms. The good news is I had some alternatives, which made it easy for me to be able to find a little relief until I could get the aid of my doctor when I got to the other side of the country. Now, if you are new to tapping and have no idea what I'm talking about, tapping is this absolutely amazing tool in which we are physically tapping on our bodies. It's something that I use every single day. It's something I use with my clients. If you'd like to learn how to do tapping absolutely free, all you need to do is go to learntotap.com. That's learntotap.com. I have an instructional video. I have downloads. All of it is absolutely free. Learntotap.com. And if you follow the little arrow in the upper right-hand corner, it will take you to learntotap.com. Now, you might not be in a circumstance like I was, where you were in so much pain you could not lift your own arms. But there are lots and lots of really good reasons why we might find tapping an uncomfortable thing. We could be in a circumstance like I was, where I had something physically going on in my body. The exact same thing happens around allergy season because we have tapping points that are right above sinus cavities. Any of this sort of tapping on those points, for me, is really distressing because of the swelling that is happening in my sinus cavities. Or you could be in a circumstance where you just don't like touch at all. Some of us are sensitive to that and do not enjoy physical touch, even if we're doing it to ourselves on our body. That is something that is uncomfortable. Or we could be in a circumstance where we want to tap, but it doesn't feel safe or comfortable because we're in public, we're around other people, and we don't want to do that. So if you are in any of these circumstances, there are a number of things that we can do to be able to get the benefit of tapping without it being uncomfortable, or how we can do it in slightly more covert ways. So here are 6 things to keep in mind and possibilities to make it easier for you to tap. Now, the first one is it's not as much not tapping or tapping in a different way, but it's about how we actually physically tap. Sometimes we're in a circumstance where we think if I'm doing something, the harder I do the thing, the more valuable it's going to be. And so sometimes when we're tapping, we're really tapping because we think that's going to make a difference. The work that we are doing here requires stimulation, but the amount of stimulation does not matter. You know, when I turn on a light switch, it doesn't matter if I click the light switch on or I slam the light switch on. The outcome is exactly the same. The light turns on. And with tapping, all we need to do is we just need to apply enough pressure to actually create the stimulus that gives us the response that we're getting from the tapping. So number one, if it is uncomfortable for you, pay attention to how hard you are tapping. Number two, if you're in a circumstance where even tapping lightly is something that's not going to work for you, what you can do instead to create the exact same stimulation is to rub. And so what I do is when I'm touching the point, I just create a little bitty circle and just spinning around. And so I'm applying a little pressure and spinning and rubbing the spot. And for me, what I find is that is less physically distressing. The third thing that you can do is instead of rubbing or tapping, you can just simply touch the point and just take a nice, easy, deep breath. Now, if I am in a circumstance where I am saying phrases while I'm tapping and I'm touching and breathing, what I will do is I will say the phrase, I recognize the fact, then I'll move on to the next point that I am struggling with. And what's really interesting is the breathing becomes relaxing as well. And so I'm actually slowing down the process. So even though I'm not saying phrases as quickly, I'm actually getting a huge amount of relief. Number four, what you can do is you can avoid the points around the eyes. In talking with my clients and my own lived experience, the 3 points that are the most uncomfortable for people to tap on are the eyebrows, the side of the eyes, under the eyes. And then the fourth one after that is the tippy top of the head because it's right on top of our brain. So if you're in a circumstance where any of these points are causing you distress, skip them. Under the nose, chin, collarbone, under the arm, incorporate in the finger points. We don't have to use all of the points to get value out of it. So steer clear of the points around the eyes. Number five, you can be in a circumstance where you just skip the face altogether. Some people, it's not just the eyes, but it's their face, and it's just uncomfortable to be on the face. If that's the case, again, go to the collarbone, go to the under the arm, side of the hand, use the finger points. The other thing that I like to do is I'd like to take all of my fingertips and tap all the way across my chest. So it almost looks like I'm like pounding my chest like a gorilla, but I'm using my fingertips and I'm going from the middle of my sternum out to my shoulders back and forth, and doing that over and over again for me is something that's really, really relaxing. And typically that's a place that we can feel and we can take the impact without it being uncomfortable if the face is the part that's causing the problem. And then finally, number 6, you don't have to tap on the points at all. Now, this is something that's going to take a little more practice, but if you're in a circumstance, and this is something that you're going to want to try to see what your level of success is with this, give it a try, see if it works for you. But for me, I find that I can imagine the points being tapped and get the relief without having to physically tap the points. Now, again, that takes a little more focus because I'm like thinking of the tapping point and I'm tuning into the issue. And so that can be a little bit harder. But that's exactly what I did as I was flying across country and I was in so much pain. I just sat there and tuning into the pain and tuning into what was going on in my body was not a difficult thing to do. And so as I was feeling that in my body, I literally just sat in the airplane seat and I just imagined tapping on every single point. Because if you do that right now, if you just take a nice deep breath and tune into your body, you can see what it feels like to tap on the eyebrow, side of the eye, under the eye. You're feeling that right now as I am describing it. And so what I did on that flight was literally, I just sat there, imagined myself tapping in. As the pain went down, because it was an overnight flight, I was able to fall asleep. 45 to 60 minutes later, I was back in pain again and I woke up and I did the exact same thing. And so I was able to reduce the pain and sleep on the flight cross country until I could reach out to my doctor and get taken care of what I needed to have taken care of. So you can see the tapping points are really useful, but we have lots and lots of alternatives. The reason why we tap is tapping is a really simple motion that does not require a huge amount of attention. It also, because we're using 2 fingertips and going after each point, it allows us to be less precise. So we're going to get the benefit knowing that we're hitting the tapping point. But if you're in a circumstance where the tapping itself is uncomfortable, remember, you can tap lighter. You can touch and rub in little bitty circles. You can touch and breathe. You can avoid the points that are discomforting, or you can just imagine yourself tapping. Now, with each one of these things, your mileage is going to vary. Give yourself permission to try out each one of the ones to find the one that is most useful for you. But I just want you to be in a circumstance where You're not thinking, oh, I can't tap because it is uncomfortable or it is uncomfortable today. I want you to still have access to this amazing tool. So give that a try. If you have a tapper in your life who would like to know some unique and different ways of approaching this, please pass this along. We always say our marketing budget is your word of mouth. The single highest compliment you can pay me is to take my content and share it with someone else. So if there's someone in your life who could appreciate this, please pass this along. As you look at the screen right now, you can see the entire archive of the Tapping Q&A podcast. Click on that playlist, investigate, dive in, see the other teaching that is waiting for you absolutely free. I look forward to talking with you and tapping with you again real soon.